Saucy Bites.
I'm on such a tight timeline to get this DevOps course created. What in the world am I going to do? I have less than a week to put an entire course together. I know. ChatGPT. Okay, so here we are in the ChatGPT interface. In this example, I'm still using the GPT 3.5 Turbo model. And I'm basically starting out with a simple prompt. Provide 3 basic projects for a beginner DevOps engineer. The first project that they recommended was setting up a continuous integration and deployment pipeline, otherwise known as CI/CD. Number 2, infrastructure automation. Number 3, monitoring and logging. So I said, okay, can you create an outline for the first item, which was the CI/CD pipeline project? And so ChatGPT came back and said, sure, here's an outline for setting up a pipeline. Starts with an introduction, has subsections underneath there, talks about your development environment, configuring a pipeline, automating deployments, testing and monitoring, and finally a conclusion. So then I said, okay, can you write content for section 1, which is the introduction? And it said, sure, here's the content for section 1. And that's our introduction. So it starts with an explanation of what a CI/CD pipeline is, why is it important in software development, and what the explanation of this overall project is going to be that this course is based on. So then I asked it to write content for section 2, and it came back and started writing content about setting up your development environment. I did the same for section 3, configuring your pipeline, and you can see that it's giving me information about how to create a pipeline script in Jenkins, how to configure build and test stages for it, and how to set up a deployment stage. And then it talks about, by at the end of this section, we will have fully configured a CI/CD pipeline that can automatically build, test, and deploy code changes to production. This pipeline will provide us with a streamlined and efficient deployment process that can help to improve the overall quality of the code and reduce the time it takes to release software updates. So it's closing out the sections as well with an engaging and compelling, encouraging paragraph for the student that would be taking this course. And so I did the same for section 4, section 5, and section 6. And what I like about it is it says overall, at the end of the conclusion, it says, overall, this project has provided you with a strong foundation in DevOps and CI/CD principles, which you can build upon in your future projects and career as a DevOps engineer. So always very encouraging, always very motivating, and giving people a sense of determination by kind of teasing you with a part 2, like further your career with more education coming up in the next course. And so then I said, let's see if you can provide actual steps for each subsection under section 2. So section 2 was setting up the deployment environment. And so underneath that, it basically started with setting up a Git repository. And so then it went into iterations here of what that involves. So sign up for a GitHub account, create a new repository through the web interface, clone that repository to your local machine using Git command line tools, adding a sample web application files to the repository, committing changes and pushing them to the remote repository, and so on and so forth. And you can see that it did it for the other subsections under that section as well. So then I said, please provide code for step 4 under subsection A. I didn't really mean code here, I meant steps, what I would need to do. So step 4 under subsection A was add sample web application files to the repository. So this is assuming that you already have a web application that you've created and you're now ready to commit it to the GitHub repository. So you'll see that ChatGPT told me I need to change directory into the path where my sample web application files reside. I'm then going to initialize a new repository. Then I'm going to simply add all of my files for my new web application to that repository. And then I'm going to commit the changes, and I'm going to provide a comment on my commit. And this is just a sample of what you would put here. And as ChatGPT is really great at, it provides a little bit of a summary of some of the things that you're going to need to make personal about the step that you're following here. So then I said, well, we don't have a sample web application, so can you please write code for our web application? And it came back and said, Sure, here's an example of how to create a simple Hello World web application using Flask and Python. So essentially, all my student would need to do would be to take this code snippet out of the material, put it into a code editor like Visual Studio Code, save the files, and then go up and follow these steps right here to commit their code to the Git repository to begin this particular part of this course. So as you can see, ChatGPT was able to help me within a matter of minutes recommend beginner projects for a DevOps course, create an outline for one that I requested, and then also write the content and even more detailed content underneath all the various sections of that course. And it was also able to write me some code that can be used as sample code for a web application for this CI/CD pipeline project. So I hope you found this video helpful, and if you did, please click like and subscribe, and I'll create more content like this in the future. Thank you.